Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gat, your host. A viewer contacted us. She just wants to know what the connection is between her and another gentleman. You see both their natal charts. The person who contacted us is the female on the left, and the male is on the right. And she didn't have the time, so we did ask the archangels. It was very interesting. Uh, you get a lot of cards that fall out while you're shuffling oftentimes. And so I don't know if it's for me or not. So I haven't did a card reading in a while for myself, which I'm about to do it later, probably later today. Uh, so Chamuel, of course, fell out because Chamuel is very close to me, and he let me know I'm gonna bring your soulmate. So I said thank him. But Chamuel he's very helpful in all these readings. He works with Taurus energy. So he came out. Then Raphael came out and said, breathe, let go of the old so the new can come in. And then I tried to put him back in. And it was kind of funny. It's almost like they didn't want to go back in the deck. It was a funny situation. Then Chamuel came out on another card, fell out again and said, only love is real. Remember that only love is real. So the reason why I'm saying that, because sometimes when those cards fall out, it could be for me, but it could also be for the person I'm doing a reading for. Whether it's a natal chart reading or an angel card reading. Because I still did an angel card reading to get the time. That's why I was shuffling the cards. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Raphael corresponds with all the astrological signs. Taurus. Chamuel works with Taurus energy. Now, very interesting. So I did ask the archangels. And let me close some of these because I got tons of windows open that I don't need open. So just let me close these so I can continue. Also, you'll get a free report. On every free report is everything. It'll be links so you can learn more about well, anything with astrology, archangel cards, how they correspond. Uh, Also, just twin flames information. There's two videos on twin flame drama by DNA Awakening. That's a totally different channel. And then they also have the stages of a twin flames relationship. Because a lot of people are just going with feelings, but you have to understand this is higher than third dimensional feelings. You have to understand how it works. Because that way you'll understand that there is a separation or what's going on, why there's a lot of pain, a lot of healing. So those are two videos that everybody needs to really watch. You can find both of them at DNA Awakening on YouTube. All right, now, so what was very interesting was when asked for the time, first card that came was Gabriel. Tells you to nurture. Now, usually when Gabriel comes, it's usually telling you have an indigo. And it may be an indigo male. Because sometimes women don't understand that. I just did new videos on this channel, Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. You see I use the nurture card because that card came before. And it was ironic because even when I just started another sale today, so I went to get a card for the cover of the video. And when I said Archangel readings or something in the search engine, again, Gabriel's card kept coming up for nurturing. Because what's going on now is these males are here, but they're not really third dimensional males. So they're sensitive males, indigo males, crystal males, and women haven't found out how to appreciate that yet or deal with it. So I just did a Archangel card reading. It talks all about these men. You see Gabriel on the cover, nurturing. So you have to learn about indigo men. And I even have a video about indigo men. You may even find it on YouTube, and maybe some other people talking about it, because a lot of people you're separated from your twin because you don't realize that your twin is indigo or sensitive, a crystal, and they're not going to respond to you on a third dimensional level. Your twin is always there to. They may hurt you or break you, but it's always to build you and make you better. So that was the first card. But see, Gabriel would be the moon card, just so you know. He's a moon card. He works with moon and Cancer. So we're looking at a time of PM. That was the first card that came out. Gabriel, moon, nurture. Also telling you somebody is an indigo or sensitive, a crystal child. And even though you're saying using the word child, they're still grown adults, but they're not going to act like third dimensional. Then Sandalphon came out. Now, and that's 12 again. So if you're dealing with noon, that's 12 p.m. or noon, moon, p.m., 12 p.m. Sandalphon came out, and he said gentleness. So he's just taking his time, playing his ukulele. Nothing to worry about. Trust the archangels, trust God, trust spirit. But now you're starting to get the idea this guy is highly spiritual, whether he knows it or not, but he is. And even with moon, when you're dealing with moon and Pisces, you're dealing with a very psychic person, very intuitive person. Okay, once again, get back to sensitivity, because that's all Pisces energy. Spiritual, sensitive, inspirational, compassionate. That's all Pisces energy. But it didn't stop there. The very next card came 12 again. So they're really, really hitting you with 12. Because we could have went with 12 a.m., but because of the moon card, Gabriel, we're going to go with 12 p.m. But they want you to know that this person is a very spiritual person, because Pisces came out again. Sandalphon is Pisces. And this time it was have faith and your prayers are being heard in victory. Then finally, the last card to come out was Raguel, which is Sagittarius, which again deals with the 9th house or the higher self. And also said clairsentience, which means this person has extra sensory perception, extra sensory perceptive gifts. So this person we're dealing with, is probably the male, is psychic. But it doesn't stop there. See, everything is for a reason. This gentleman was born relatively in August, and 6 is following him. And a lot of 6, but see, 6 is an upside down 9. And even when you're dealing with Sandalphon, the 12th house of the zodiac is Pisces. Sandalphon, Pisces, that's 6 plus 6, 12. Now Niagara, once again, has that shade of August in it. Just to let you know, I did a video on my other channel, because I was getting ready to go to bed last night. At 12:21 a.m., I'm looking up into space, and I see who I'm pretty sure was Capello. But when you wake up, you'll see a different universe. That's all I can tell you. But it definitely was a communication there that I did talk about and went on to prove, because I tend to prove everything I say. I try to, and so that Capella is also in something like the Agora constellation or something, but that's like August. And then it was something with my name, Gar, because I was born in August with the Gar. So what I'm trying to tell you, all this stuff was planned by somebody, and the deeper you look, the more you're going to see synchronicities and patterns. And the Grox one says that again. So as we start, the Grox one also says that. So we're dealing with August. We're dealing with the number 6, the number 9, and even like anything with a Gar, and even maybe something with a Naya. But Naya would even be like night, and night will always, it's still PM. Even though they separate everything AM, PM, but PM is better closely related to night. Because in the old days, right at 6 p.m., that's when it got dark. That's when everybody began to sit down and eat dinner. Right around 6 p.m., they started closing the blinds of the house and securing the house or whatever. And around 6 p.m., and that's in the Bible as well, it's called the 6th hour, the hour of darkness or night. So what I'm saying is always going to be a spiritual connection, and we have to be careful because we make the mistake of trying to judge everything by the time frame we're in now. But the time frame was set up long time ago, and it was set up based on the Bible, and that still stands. Not that we can't learn from this whole new stuff we're going through, but the old stuff still stands, and to think that it doesn't, that's kind of like an illusion as well. So we got to be careful of illusions. And again, when you're dealing with Pisces and Neptune, you can sometimes deal with illusions or idealism that'll get smacked into reality with realism. So whenever you're hearing these readings, try to take notes, because it's going to be a lot of information. And sometimes you'll have people that say, oh, he didn't talk about this, but I did. But it's so much information, their brain will shut down at some point. So you just have to take notes best you can. And now we will go into the reading. And whenever you hear about the archangels, you want to list them, take notes, because those archangels are going to be significant presences in the lives of these people. We were primarily talking about the male, but they'll be there too. And again, that's why I said this is why you always get readings, you always get angel readings, you always get your natal chart. Keep it updated. Check your horoscope, throughout the week. And the one thing about your natal charts, once you have them wherever you go, whether it's a psychic reading or whatever, it's always going to refer you back to your natal chart. And that's why if you're doing it, if anybody's talking to you or giving you any type of reading, do they know what the astrological signs are? Because that's how you're going to know how it's on your chart and how it corroborates. All right, now, her first house is her first house. Now, if you notice what they're doing with her, first thing you notice is the number 33. Now, there are degrees, and I found one website that gives some interpretation of degrees, and it's numerology. We do these things a few ways. Now, because whenever I see 33rd degree, because that's what that is, that's 33rd. Well, it's 33, it's 2 degrees, but 33. But 33 can imply secrets. And that's why when you hear about like 33rd degree Masons, and a lot of people don't think that there's females that high, but there are some females that are that high in Freemasonry. But that's kind of like a secret. Nobody really knows that. But if you were dealing with Doreen Virtue, she would say any number with 3 is the Ascended Masters. And these are kind of like enlightened people. And it's funny because this is at her ascendant. And when you see Capricorn, Capricorn is usually an old soul. Now your AC or your ascendant is where the sun was rising over the horizon when you were born. And your east point is yet another point of the sun at a location when you were born, possibly at the ecliptic. Now they're taking the number 24 and then switching it 42. So, and whenever I see stuff like that, I say it's kind of like an on switch, off switch. So Capricorn is an old soul, career-minded, earth sign. And again, this is your rising sign or your ascendant as well. But it's an old soul. Maybe the person even lived past lives before. But they're workers, they're career-minded. And so this is a person who focuses a lot on the career. And that's her first house, which is how the world sees her. And it's ruled by Aries, which is I am. Now, if you go right across, you're dealing with your 7th house, direct opposite. And that's your relationship house. But you have family there and Juno. So this person also wants to be married, family-minded. And then you see the number 24 again. You keep seeing the number 24 on her chart. So what we'll do, we'll do this a couple of ways maybe. 20 to 29 degrees. This degree or decadent corresponds to the spiritual aspects of a person. When many planets or They meant to say are, but they wrote or, so I'm going to change that. When many planets are in this decadent, the native would be spiritually inclined. Some might have problems like addiction and self-destruction. So let's just look at this. So just give me a moment. I'm going to do a little typing. The first word is usually, the first numbers is usually the degree, and the second one they usually call them minutes. But I just said something, so it's something that says seconds. But all right, so we got something here. Because you'll have people explaining it, kind of, but what I'm looking for is just somebody to list the degrees. So give me one moment. Because we do it different ways. We do it with numerology. But give me one moment. All right. So now, what we're going to look at. So what we're going to look at is, we're going to look at that 24 degree, and we're all going to say Capricorn because that is the sign. Ambitious, clever, and irascible character. IRASCIBLE. Since success requires continuous learning and training. Similarly to the pianist, or dancer who practices every day. This could be true or not, but they basically say this person works very hard to get to the top, but then that's followed by disfavor, and they don't go into any other reason. So when I read stuff like that, it could happen, it may not happen, but I have to list it. All right, give me a moment. Now, so now let's just try the 2 degree, just to try it. Said this person will have sharp intuition, excellent education, and they keep saying success, fame, and wealth. They can go into diplomacy, science, law, civic service, literature, etc. Said they'll be successful over their enemies. Said this person will have a brilliant life blessed with good luck and happiness. So that's a 2 degree in Capricorn. Now again, what I usually try to do is with patterns. Whenever you see 0, that's like a new beginning. Like that means, remember I said on and off switch, and you have that because you see how you have a lot of zeros, and what I mean by a lot, I mean you have more than most. Even if you only have 2 0 degrees, that's still more than most. That's like an on and off type situation, start and stop. All right, so that is your first house. Now your second house is about money, possessions, and your value system, and is ruled by Taurus. And remember, Chamuel kept coming out doing a reading because that's Taurus energy. Now, this is the Aquarius. Now, they'd rather use their money. See, Aquarius is about teaching the community, helping the community, coming up with ingenious ways to do things better for the community. That's like the age of Aquarius. It's supposed to be like enlightenment. So when you see Aquarius in your second house with no planets and things, this is a person that will kind of use their money for the betterment of community. So just got to remember, just always act wisely, though. Always act wisely. See, sometimes we think that people that have a lot of money and have careers or whatever don't care about the society or the people around them, but a lot of them do, unbelievably. In fact, a lot of them contribute to make the world a better place. So that is your second house. Now your third house is Gemini. Now this is very interesting, and you see the 22 right there. Now 22 will always be the twin flames number. It's 1111. It's a twin. Now they may give you a different interpretation from the 22 degree, which we're going to look at, but the bottom line is it's always a twin flames number. Now, so your house, this person is very creative but spiritual. And they probably could do well with spiritual poetry, spiritual music. And spiritual is a big word. It could be Christianity, some form of Christianity, but it could also be different because it's spiritual when people talk about intuition and being tapped in with the universe and extrasensory perceptive gifts. So this person has that gift. And see, this house, third house, is ruled by Gemini. This is mental, thought, and communication, creativity, poetry, could be music, younger education, earlier education, your siblings, your brotherhood, the community around you. Gemini is similar to Aquarius, is similar to Sagittarius. They like their freedom. So even if they're in a relationship, they still want to have their freedom within a relationship. But this is a very spiritual thing with people. They want to teach spirit. They talk spiritually. And it's their sun sign, Pisces. Now remember I told you Sandalphon kept coming out. Sandalphon kept coming out. And then there is. There is Sandalphon Pisces energy. And that'll take you back to your 12th house where I told you about Sagittarius came out. And Sagittarius rules the 9th house. Sagittarius rules the 9th house. So you see how the archangels are already introducing themselves to you, just like I said. That's why I said when those cards come out or whatever's going on, you want to take a note because these may be cards that are going to help you throughout your life. This is very serious. It's not a joke. The more people tap in with astrology, with everything you see like on channels like this one, you can only get better. It can only better your life. You have a better understanding of the life around you. So for now, we're just going to look at the 22 degree at your sun. It'll be 22 degrees at Pisces. Well, they keep saying this though. One thing they said, see, this is why I don't like to do this, because I read the other day too. They said, see, you would have to understand the history of the number 22. And like for me to do that, it gets a little, but 22 is not a negative number. But I saw that the other day. But see, 22 used to be the number, and probably still is, of the people of God. This is the people before they gave you the Matrix and all this false history and false lies. So they tried to curse everything on the people of God. Now, if you don't believe that, just read Deuteronomy chapter 28. It told you it was going to happen. So a lot of times when you see 22, they give you a negative, just like they take the word black, that's negative. Anything with the people of God became negative. Oh, that's a black cat, that's a curse on you. 22 is a bad number. So you got to be careful. You got to go back to the way this world ran before these people set us up in this matrix and took everything over. But 22 is 1111, or the number 4, the angel number, and that the angel number would be the people of God, angels. That's the number 4, and 22 would actually be a great number, and plus it has to deal with your twin soul as well. So it's not a curse. So I'm not going to read anything that's saying this number's cursed, because I know the number's not cursed. Just like a black cat ain't cursed. A black cat is actually a messenger, can actually bring you good luck. But if you sit there and believe it's bad, like you brought that curse on yourself because you believed it. You believe it, you receive it. But they are warning you that you may have a great height and then fall from grace. And again, what did I just get finished telling? That's what happened to the people of God. They were at the great height and they fell. Now that part of it could be true. And that's the second time I've heard it. And I also told you Capricorn is the old soul. Okay? So the people that gave you these charts in astrology, they know the real history of the planet. And if you don't know the real history, like I said, a lot of people out here thinking this is some type of social fund. But it's not. This is real science. Real. The pyramids were built on science like this. But once you remember your power, like if you profess it as a powerful number, hey, my sun is at 22 degrees. Nothing can go wrong. You understand? That's what you're going to receive. But if you're going, oh, wow, my son's at 22. Oh, I'm worried. Oh, they are. Then you're going to bring that on yourself. So that's again, your third house is actually looks wonderful. So we don't want to go by what these liars did when they gave us this matrix. In Matthew 23, they talked about whitewash, because that's what they did. They took things and tried to whitewash and make it look good when it's not true. All right. Now we'll continue. Also, so you have a lot of healing there. So you'll be healing people and healing yourself. So that's one of your strongest houses. Your sign is in the third house, is a strong house. And even that person could even be like a Sunday school teacher, because it's like younger education. But what I learned about the third house, it doesn't necessarily have to be kids. It could just be like people that don't know, people that are not really skilled or understanding. And in that sense, they're younger because they just don't know. Or it could be immature people as well. But either way, you have some type of communication and teaching skills with that. Fourth house is family. Now, that's a little tough because Aries is always aggression. Aries is I am. So your fourth house is connected to your first house. So you got a type of Capricorn, Cancer thing going on. And usually those people, that's what I'm trying to tell you, those people are usually connected to the angels. And that's why you hear me say the people of God and things like that, because you see it on your chart. And like I said, some people don't want to go that deep with it, so that's why I don't sit here and do that. But I'm just letting you know that it's there. Whenever you see some type of unique connection between Capricorn and Cancer, you're dealing with somebody who's usually like connected more to angelic. And that's why you're going to see a lot of Pisces energy and all kind of stuff. All right. And that's your moon sign. Now, the sun sign external masculine. The moon sign is internal feminine, and it could be secrets and mysterious. Now your palace is in your fifth house. It just made it, but according to the time given, it's in the fifth house. Otherwise, it would be on a border, which could be fourth or fifth house. But again, it's just energy. If you understand energy, it won't be that. You don't have to get too technical. So it's aggression with the family. It was a lot of aggression. Maybe even with the mother, because the moon sign is the mother. This is your teenage to adult education, your fourth house. Land and property, real estate perhaps, but it's definitely land and property. Family and ancestors, the heart, and vehicles. So whenever you have Lilith, especially Lilith with the moon, because Lilith is the black moon, the dark side of the moon. So it's a lot of emotions here. And this house is it's really ruled by Cancer. So it's a lot of aggression, kind of, a lot of emotions. But it was basically feminine, mostly feminine generated. But now Venus is still love and finance and diplomacy, just like we said earlier. Forgiveness, you're not having fun. So it's just like a lot of, but it looks primarily feminine, a lot of aggressive feminine energy, one way or another. But it does take you back to your first house, where you see Capricorn, which would be ruled by Saturn, which there is that's more masculine energy. But sometimes the feminine energy can be Capricorn too, career minded. And then right across from your first house is your seventh house of relationships, but it has the family there, and then you have Juno. So your fourth house with Venus and your seventh house with Juno is probably talking about your soulmate or your twin as well. So now we want to look at Lilith. And let me see, this says Lilith conjunction. Lilith conjunct, Lilith conjunct. Alright, give me 1 second. I gotta get this out of here because it doesn't belong. And what people have to understand now, we're at the end of a cycle. So even if people were, say, cursed, like it says, people of God were cursed, they were overthrown and cursed, just like Deuteronomy 28 said. But now they are coming out of that curse. So if they stop confessing it, they'll stop receiving it. That's why you're constantly being told to speak positive, say positive things, don't speak negative, don't dwell on negative things, put faith in God, put faith in trust. And that's what Sandalphon said. See, that was one of the cards that came out. It said, keep the faith. Your prayers are being heard. Keep the faith. So they're in harmony with what I'm being shown. They already knew it. All right. So just give me a moment. I'm just looking at Lilith. All right. So your Lilith. Yeah, your Lilith is in Aries. Okay. Aries, the fourth house. This person loves their independence, but that causes problems in partnerships. So that would be kind of deep. But that's what I was trying to tell you earlier. See, they want to be family minded, but they still want their independence. They say this type of person may change life partners without committing themselves. because they're always finding something wrong with the people. Well, again, nothing's perfect. He goes back to Pisces. Pisces is misled by Neptune. Neptune rules Pisces, but it makes Pisces feel idealistic. Life, no matter where you go, life is not going to be idealistic. And you have to be careful, because sometimes you may be with the person that's really good for you, that you need to be with, but you think it's, oh, this can't be right, and you leave it, and you may never get that back, or if you get it back, it's never going to be what it was. So you have to be very careful of being too idealistic, too unrealistic, or too critical. So this person is very, they can flirt very well. Because those type of people, they're just in the fantasy world. And flirting is always good because there's no commitment. And he said, but this person may have one-night stands. But they said anything with partnership or anything that would consider commitment is uncertain. But at the same time, the person is fair, fighting for justice and peace. So that's a little confusion there, because they want the family, they want the relationship, but they don't want to... that's why I was telling you about Pallas, because Pallas is a lot like Aquarius, especially when Pallas is retrograde. It deals with helping social issues. All right, so now that's Lilith and Aries, and now you want Lilith in the 4th house. They want fulfillment of family, home, and homeland. So they could even be somewhat patriotic. If they're not necessarily patriotic, but they definitely care about the community around them. But you like to be around the family. You like to be around people. And you love communications. But you kind of contradict yourself, because again, you're striving for togetherness, but there's some part of you that still wants your own. So in that togetherness, you want your own, which is really nothing wrong with it, but it's just a way to go about things, because this is what anybody listening, you don't want to confuse people. You don't want to confuse people around you. So if you start to notice you're confusing somebody, don't get mad at that person. You're only going to make the situation worse. You want to try to get communication going, because there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to be in a relationship, but I still want to have me. I still want to be me. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not communicating that to the person, and so the person understands that, you're going to have problems. It's kind of, I don't want to like give too many examples. But if you're just hanging out, if you're a female and you're hanging out with the guy and you're having a great night, you really think you two are bonding, and he just jumps up and just leaves, like, and doesn't tell you jack dilly squat. Of course you're gonna feel like crap. So you have to have, a general rule. This is what the Messiah said, and it's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If we could practice that, would I want somebody to do that to me? You would see better relationships. So they're telling you have to work on your feelings and your understandings, because that's what that is. So now you know, and that's why they gave you great communication skills, because you can do it if you wanted to. Because a lot of times people say, oh, I can't do it for this reason, I can't do it for that reason, but they just don't want to, because they can do anything they want to. All right, now we want to deal with Lilith conjunct the moon, but we gotta see if we can find it. Because at one time they didn't have a whole lot of information on Lilith, but I think they've gotten better. So they even said what I said. That's fusing two moons together, because Lilith is the dark side of the moon. All right, now give me a second, because they're throwing me off again. I hate when they do this. Just give me a second. So they said Lilith, Lilith conjuncting the moon is the mother, which is the moon, and the anti-mother. See, so you're definitely sending out confusing messages. Like, woo! I see a great comedy bit. I'm sorry, but it's like, especially in the family sector, like you want the whole family to be there, and that's really motherly. You know, you want the whole family to be there and everything. Then you just kind of like go anti. Like you're the one that set this whole thing up. Who are you getting mad at? It's like whenever you see a woman and she's like doing all this cooking and all this stuff and she's mad. Like you're the one that wanted this. We didn't want this. You're the one that wanted this. Or she's getting real dressed up and she's getting mad. Like she's getting mad at a man. Like because of you men, we have to do all this. No, not really. You don't have to do it. Like you're choosing to do it. So that's what you kind of got going over here. So that's something you have to be mindful of. One thing I try to teach people, the reason why relationships are so messed up, because we just expect people to just love us the way we are, and that's just not realistic, because nobody really does that. Even when God said so much love, but you still have to repent and become obedient. And if you mess up, he's merciful. But it's not like he's just picking you up and saying, oh, you can stay the way you are. And that's the way people think it is, but it's not. So it's no such thing as that. You have to give something back. There is unconditional love where somebody should forgive you if you're repenting. Even the Messiah said that if they ask for forgiveness. But if you have somebody that's just doing you terrible and they never repent and they just say, well, you know, this is the way I was when you met me and all that. I mean, some people might stay with, but usually they stay with them, but they're cheating on them and they're cheating on them. And what everybody has to realize is at the end of all of this, you're going to be judged. That's why you hear words like karma, past life, and all this other stuff, because you're paying for stuff that you didn't atone for. All right, so we're going to say moon. We're going to say Lilith conjunct moon. So they say the moon here is the Black Madonna and that extra potent in the Virgo archetype. It's funny, you know, it's just funny because like I said, I don't want to go deep with it, but they're doing it anyway. See, they're going deep anyway. Now, you have to understand the whole Mother Mary thing. And she is going to connect it to the 6th house because she rules she's connected to the 4th house because she rules the 6th house. The 6th house is ruled by the Virgo or the Virgin. And it's the home. But the home is always going to be connected to the family. Even when you move out of your family, your parents' house or whatever, your home is still going to be somewhat connected because of the bloodline. Either way, no matter how, even if you don't like your family, you're still taking what you learned there into your home one way or another. Even if you say, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that, but you're still bringing it with you. You can't separate it. So that's what they're trying to show you. So you got a whole lot of, you just got some things going on between home and family, but it's also in a relationship. But it's just that with you're going to have to learn how to communicate better. And it's not necessarily anything wrong with having, well, I want a family. Well, I want a relationship. I want a serious, committed relationship, but I want to be independent. There's really nothing wrong with that, but you have to learn how to communicate it, because otherwise nobody's going to understand what's going on with you. And that's why that's what that other person said. They said this person, they may crave for a serious relationship, but they may still like flirtation, or they may still like other stuff. So whether that's the case or not, that's not what I'm saying. But there is definitely a opposing yourself, contradicting yourself. It's two energies. So they keep saying, because that's what I told you about the number 33. They saying this person would be like a priestess, and she would be involved with the occult. Like, and all occult means is hidden. It doesn't necessarily mean, like the occult gets a bad rap. All it means is things that are hidden, not what most people know. But you see that at your ascendant when you saw that number 33. So they're saying this person will be popular off of being unpopular, and they have an offbeat sense of humor. So the woman and the goddess have a huge influence on her life. They're saying this person may have been brought up by a single mother or by one who was quite bewitching and manipulative to the point it felt like she was inside them. Oh yeah, I didn't tell you. In your 4th house, that's Imum Coeli. Imum Coeli, whoever raised you as a mother, in that mother position when you were young, they'll be in your subconscious mind the whole time you're in this life, on this planet. That's Imum Coeli in your 4th house. So you got a lot of that going on too. And I kind of said that when I saw Aries and things. And that's why it's affecting your family, your home, which is going to be the 6th house, and your relationship, the 7th house, and in your case, the 1st house. Because Aries, which is ruling, Aries, the sign Aries is in your 4th house, but that's also ruling your ascendant. So again, that's like mother issues, subconscious, and things like that. So there will be a glorification of the feminine. So they said it will be a problem with a lot of men that can't accept a, say, aggressive woman. That could be a problem. And they say this type of men, and I just did a reading, this type of men will go from worshiping to abusing. But that's why I try to teach. See, you have to be willing to take the truth when you do this, and most people aren't. They just want what they want. But when you get into like sex, you're dealing with supernatural stuff. And sex is powerful. It's almost like the same power that built the pyramids. But that's higher stuff that nobody's going to get. If you got what I just said, God bless you. Because if you notice, even in New York, not New York, even Washington, what's that called up? Obelisk? That's a pyramid. It's just pointed all the way up because it's a palace. See, you don't understand a male palace. So you don't understand that. People don't understand that. So what happens when you get into worshiping or sex, and that's how the abuse starts. Because it's uncontrollable, and you become addicted and obsessed, and you want that pussy, and you want it, and it's nobody else's. It belongs to you, and you get crazy. So that's why I'm always going to tell people, you're better off learning the art of communication, especially since you have that as a gift. But a lot of people don't want to communicate. They just want to go low frequency, low level, and then you're going to have all this stuff happening. Because you're going to be saying, hey, listen, I know I just got finished doing this with you, but I still need my space or whatever. Say, well, you were up all over me and blah, blah, blah. You're the one that wanted this more than me. Now all of a sudden you're acting like you don't want it. And then they're on some other stuff. Especially, like I said, if you're dealing with a sensitive man, because then he's going to have emotions. And that's what they're talking about. And let me see where I got this information from. Okay, this is darkastrology.com, darkstarastrology.com, Moon conjunct Lilith. Darkastrology.com, Moon conjunct Lilith. And if you go there, they have a beautiful picture of a woman, all white. She looks like a 1980s. Remember the people that made Who Can It Be Now? Was that them? Maybe not them, but it was another group like them. And it was a woman. I forget her name. But it was her and another man. But it was right around the same time that other song. It was around the same time that song Who Can It Be Now came out. This woman looks like her. So you can go there to darkastrology.com if you want to see that. But this is where I'm getting information from. So they say this woman may just feel better in the bosom of the goddess. And they may reject marriage and a husband altogether. And they say because Lilith is known for stealing babies or killing babies, and they're saying that's what this woman would do symbolically by saying, well, I'm just not going to get with a man. I don't need no man telling me what to do, and I just do whatever. I'm gonna be with the goddess, and I won't have no kids by no man. So they're saying that's more Lilith. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes it's just a communication thing. See, you have to really understand. I do this all the time, and I could already tell you. You got to ask yourself, if you had a communication with, say, this is a male female. If you had a communication, did you guys really talk to each other? Did you both listen? Did you at least understand their point, whether you agreed with it or not? And how did you handle that? Because a lot of times you may say something to somebody, and you say, "Oh, I told them," or whatever. But you never did. They understand it? Did you get a confirmation? You understand? So that's that whole aggression. That's that whole aggression. Well, this is what I want, and that's stupid, and they should understand. He should know. Well, he knew this is the way I was when they met me, and on and on. And everybody, the male or female, and that's why you have the communication problems and all the affairs and all other stuff, because there's no communications. You just want to go low level. You just want to have great sex, and then once the sex is over, you don't want to deal with anything else. But that's not the real world. That's why I said you got to be careful of Pisces and Neptune, because it deceives you. Without communications and understanding where a person's coming from and a little bit of commitment and compromise, you won't get past this, what we're learning. Then they're saying this person's going to have a Lilith complex either way. They're saying even if they do get married and want to have children, they may still not have children. They may have great difficulty conceiving. They say childbearing does not happen naturally for them. And they say that this moon conjunct Lilith is an archetype of the witch and the crone. Now the crone is just the old divine feminine, and the witch is the witch. So they say moon conjunct Lilith is perfect for midwives, devoting themselves to nurturing other women and their children as a substitute for their own. That's interesting. Now they're saying if a man has this conjunction, this man might focus on humanitarian issues or mother those suffering. They said that they'll have a powerful sexual desire, but it'll be concealed in an ice maiden casing. So they're like out they are out helping humanity or nurturing, but they'd rather be having great sex. So remember when Gabriel came out, I told you about nurturing. So they're kind of saying he's repressed. So like I said, if you could get the great communication going, you would have the great sex. But you should try to get that straight before you start having sex, because once you have sex, you're using that pyramid magic, and it can become obsessive and even dangerous. But by communicating, it helps because the person knows what they're getting into. Okay, we can have great sex, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be sitting around you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I got other things I want to do in my life. You just got to be honest about it. Respectful, considerate, but honest. Then they can't really get mad at you, because it's not like they knew. They say these type of people don't think that they're sexy in the slightest, but others are very attracted to them because they're sultry, they're coy, and they have a mystic moon, because moon is always mystery. But they say these people can come to real good solutions to lunar issues. And they can be loony. They can have a unique sense of humor. And they said their domestic arrangements can be ludicrous. That's what they said, ludicrous domestic arrangements. These people don't give a fig what impression they make on the rest of the world. So their imagination has a free reign to go wherever it wants. But you can be if you're not already, you can be very well off financially, because the creation, you can't be stopped creatively. And they were saying that. They were saying you would be hard to overthrow. But even before they talked about Lilith, they said, but you may go up high and then come down. And a couple of different readings said that. So that was interesting. First, second, third, fourth house. Now when you get, your true north node is Taurus, and that's Chamuel. When Chamuel, I told you, when those readings come out, sometimes it's talking to me, but it's also talking to the people that I'm asking the questions about. So that's definitely Chamuel. So whatever I said about Chamuel in the beginning was definitely meant for you. And it's in your 5th house. Now, Palace helps you see patterns. If Palace was retrograde, it would mean you deal with social issues. But I've come to learn it can still mean social issues. Especially, so far the rest of your chart says you really do want to help the world. You really do care about the brotherhood of mankind and all that. The society around you. Now yours is right at 0. And again, that's usually a new beginning. A new beginning. And the number 13 is really a feminine number. It's like the feminine mama, the feminine goddess, like the darker side. Because there's really 13 astrological signs, but we're only using 12 right now. But when the people of God are restored, it'll probably be 13 again. Now we're gonna get to your number 17. See, his is 17 degrees. Yours is just 17. But we're still gonna deal with that. But we're gonna wait till we get there. All right. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. They say while a wing, this is 0 degrees Taurus, because yours could also be 0 degrees Aries, but it is really more in Taurus. While a winged woman holds with both hands a downwards pointed sword, an athlete grabs a bull by its horns and strikes it down. They're saying this person 0 degree Taurus could be quarrelsome, courageous, or clever. It's necessary to keep wild instincts under control, lest life becomes a battlefield. And it's funny because I keep telling you about 1980 music, and now I hear Pat Benatar, Battlefield, Love is a Battlefield. And but she was real, the lady I'm talking about, she was real powerful. It was her and another man, and they made a couple of hit songs, but they came out around the same time Who Can It Be came out. But she was always dressed up like that lady that's on Dark Pixie. So they say your enemies won't really push up on you unless you make them fight, and they're kind of warning you not to make your enemies fight. So they're telling you to control aggression. They're telling you to use mental strength, philosophy, and diplomacy. See, philosophy is Sagittarius, diplomacy is Venus, and strength is the bull or the lion. And you already have a sun energy in your Pisces, which is the sun. And they say they're telling you to solve your conflicts by your mental strength, your wisdom, your philosophy, and diplomacy. Because they just, for some reason, they just keep talking about enemies with you. But they're telling you don't try to duke it out. As powerful as you are, you could actually bring yourself down. And that's what most people do. That's why if you notice, when they get famous, they learn not to respond. Because a lot of people lose everything by responding to some idiots. So that is your 0 degree Taurus. Now again, your 5th house is a creative house too. It's ruled by Leo. Leo is children, childlike behavior, traveling, having fun, taking risk, childbearing, love, romance, passion, pleasure. And that's what Taurus in the 5th house, that's what Taurus wants. Pleasure, massages, wants to eat. Very sensual in the 5th house. But here's the deal. Taurus rules your second house of money. And Taurus in the 5th house, like they'll lose money easy. Which is kind of sad because in your second house, you want to give your money away to benefit the world around you. But in the 5th house, oh, you're having a ball when you're just getting money for whatever. If you're feeling great, you'll get the money. So they caution Taurus in the 5th house. And right away, somebody will say, well, that's my true north node. So obviously, that's what I should be doing. But you still have to have common sense, you know, because you can lose a lot of money. And that money could be for family relationships or, like you said, helping the society. So you have to be careful with that. So let's just do 7 degrees Taurus. Intuitive, intellectual, sentimental character, endowed with great spiritual facilities. Because they keep telling you this is a spiritual person. This person will have an interest in philosophy and esotericism. And that's the Sagittarius energy that also came out during the reading, the card reading. Careers in politics are involving working with fire, bring about success, fame, and reasonable level of wealth. Positions in government are also very favorable, but not devoid of physical danger. Sometimes this degree describes a highly evolved soul dedicated to spiritual matters. Because I already said you're Capricorn. Capricorn usually means old soul. So it's funny. Your ascendant is but see, usually your ascendant has something to do with your past life, and it sometimes it'll have something to do with your 12th house as well, because that's a house of ending. But they're kind of telling you, you know, have fun, because as an old soul you were probably, you know, quite serious, career minded. So they're kind of telling you to have fun, but they keep warning you about enemies and stuff. So be careful. 6th house is ruled by Virgo, and again nurturing with that little hook symbol is the nurturer. Virgo energy. Virgo rules the 6th house, and it's Gemini. So really, everything we said in your 3rd house is also going to be in your 6th house. Your 6th house is about health, service, healing, the home, small children, animals. So once again, you see that whole Sunday school teacher or a teacher of younger minded people, you see that again in the 6th house. And they may even have like young ones over their house and stuff. And it's also small animals. Now keep in mind that up to this point, now your true north node that looks like a horseshoe in your 5th house, it's supposed to have an aura. In fact, if it doesn't have an aura, that means you have some type of problems in that particular area. So if your true north node has an aura, that's supposed to. So you have no retrograde so far from the 1st house until you get to the 7th. And I see this all the time in natal charts. As soon as you get to that 7th degree, as soon as you get to that any type of relationship area, you start seeing retrogrades, which you usually do imply past life relationships. So this is that Cancer energy again. It could mean that you're because you got Juno there too. but it's like Cancer, Leo energy. And to be honest with you, yeah, it looks like it's on the border. So so you got for Sirius, Juno represents that asterisk, looks like an asterisk star. That is Juno, and she's an asteroid that tells you points to a serious relationship. And also your vertex crosses there, which also can be a soulmate. A twin soul is a twin flame. It's the same thing. Twin soul, twin flame. Same soul, different body. A soulmate is anyone in your soul family. And then you see the number 13 again, which is really like divine feminine. All right. So we're going to do 24-degree Cancer. Independent, imaginative, a rebellious character. The rifle symbolizes physical strength, but also psychological qualities. One has the ability to implement projects by oneself, and one is driven by the certainty that the criticisms underwent at the outset will turn into praises once success is achieved. Everything related to innovation and discoveries, foreign commerce, and exotic trade are very favored. Speculations in foodstuff are lucrative. Estrangement from the family is possible. Because we already said about family issues. All right. And this is in your relationship sector. Seventh house, but it's also partnerships, contracts, social issues, law, legal issues. So all this is possible. So this is your first retrograde, Jupiter retrograde. There's two social planets. Jupiter is one of them. Saturn is the other one. Jupiter can affect a person in a very holistic manner. When Jupiter goes retrograde, it causes you to reevaluate everything, ethics, but you're going to reevaluate everything. And remember, Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Spiritual beliefs and positions are questioned. Laws and acceptable or unacceptable behaviors are reevaluated. Jupiter's retrograde reminds us we're all interconnected in a society, culture, and people. So what that means is something you may have been totally against with Jupiter retrograde, you'll rethink it. From this viewpoint, we see more of the things we have in common instead of differences. And it helps you be more compassionate and acceptable. Jupiter is the ruler of travel. When in retrograde, travel plans are often adversely affected. Even in the best well-laid plans can fall apart. Luggage can be lost. Means of transportation develop mechanical problems, and reservations can be mixed up or canceled. So, what does Jupiter retrograde mean for past life? You may search for ethics, values, and fairness, probably a strong part of your personality. You seek truth and look for deeper meaning in life. Scientific or philosophical research may be of great interest. You may shun spiritual beliefs and feel a lack of respect for those who have a strong sense of spirituality in their lives. But not having this type of spiritual connection in your life makes you feel flat and sometimes empty. But in this particular case, because of her chart, she's definitely a spiritual person. They made sure they made that known from the archangels did the reading. But they may just question like truth. And, is it true? And if you're asking, is it true? Is it ethical? Because to be honest with you, if you're teaching a religious belief or whatever that's not honest, based on honesty, it's not ethical. We can't use our definitions any way we want to. We go, oh no, it's okay, it's not ethical, and these people are believing a whole bunch of crap that never happened, but it helps them as people. No, it doesn't, because they're learning lies, and that's why when you go home inside of their houses and you see what's really going on, that's why everything's messed up, because it's based on lies. That's unethical. Okay, it says you probably feel bogged down or boxed in by routine rituals or blind faith. You continually question the latest fads of intellectual thought, only to feel disappointed in the end. You're looking for the perfect spiritual path, and again, that's why I tell you, be careful of Neptune and Pisces. There is nothing perfect. So you got to know how to balance everything out. So you want it to be perfect spiritual path, but you want it to be mixed with intellectualism. And you're trying to balance out the two. So in a past life, you may have been persecuted for your spiritual ethical beliefs. And this experience has probably left you feeling uneasy about embracing anything larger than yourself out of fear of another existence of persecution. And you're also concerned with teaching others or showing your wisdom to others because you feel fearful that you may actually bring harm to them if you teach them what you know, because it already brought harm to you in a past life. So this is the lesson you must overcome. You have to learn how to listen to your voice and intuition. We all have gut feelings, and they're saying there's nothing wrong with having skepticism. Nothing wrong with being skeptical. But too much skepticism can keep you from the balance you're seeking. They say try with meditation, because meditation is proven scientifically. And they say once you start to meditate, start to listen to the inner voice, which will really be your higher self. And that's why that Sagittarius card came out, because they wanted to make that perfectly clear. The Sagittarius card came out, the higher self. And again, the moon card, Gabriel, came out because you had this connection with the moon and things like that. So you see how the archangels are always working to assist people. So these are things going over your head: family, relationships, and things of that nature. And that's what Jupiter retrograde is going to be doing, helping you dig into it. Like right now, Jupiter's in Scorpio. It's not retrograde, but right now Jupiter is in Scorpio. And that's the reason why this person may have started having a lot of questions in these areas. So your soulmate, who you may end up in a serious relationship with, will probably have a Leo type energy or Scorpio type energy. And maybe some connections to Cancer. Because that's what Juno and the vertex cross is saying. So your Scorpio is in your 11th house, which deals with friends, association, and groups. We already told you what Leo means, because now we're going to do Leo in your 8th house. Your 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. But we'll look at 13 degree Leo and see what they say. See, when you see stuff like this, now up to now, nothing on her natal chart said that she would be unambitious or lazy and stuff. But now it does. Why? because it's not talking about her. It's talking about her twin. Because mine is like that. Like a lot of times my chart will just go south. Like I'm like, that's nothing like me. That's anti me because it's talking about your twin. Usually your twin is opposite you. Not always, but usually. Now it says 13-degree Leo because, like I said, it's really talking about her twin. Unambitious, lazy, fatalistic. One contents oneself with what is readily available instead of striving to develop one's intelligence and enhance one's skills. One always chooses the easy way out, and therefore one is looked down upon by one's entourage or other people. Although one is born a rich person, since one is not interested in increasing the inherited wealth, life is most likely to end in poverty in the image of the weedy wheel. And then it says, a man stares helplessly at a broken wheel, half covered with weed, while his horse grazes quietly. As deep. See, and that'll help you understand where the aura came from, because there was no auras until she got to the relationship sector. But now, just to let you know, because Gabriel was trying to talk about the indigo children, crystal children, sensitive children. A lot of times they have no ambition in this life because they're not from third dimensional. So when they come here and they see just you have to see it. You have to come from a higher dimension to come here, then you can see exactly. Like even Earth Angels. Earth Angels come out here, they're like, what the heck happened? Like, and they don't want to come out, they don't want to come out their house, they don't want to do jack. So just so you can give some insight in on that. But the 8th house is, we're going to read what's in the 8th house. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. Deals with secrets, sexual matters, mysteries, doubt, accusations, suspicions, supernatural, psychic abilities, internal plotting, internal indignation, conspiracy, vengeance, revenge, anxiety, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsession, addictions, compulsion, power struggles, power manipulations, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, codependency, stalking, intense watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, fear, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, court, lawsuits, inheritances, law breaking, shared resources, finances, business karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, agents, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healings, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, internet, long distance, advanced technology, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden, taboo, astrology knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, deceived persons, astral planing, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, women's body, and finance. The 8th house rules other people's money and transformations. The 8th house and the 2nd house is on the access of money. The 2nd house is your money. The 8th house is other people's money. The 8th house is one of 3 relationship houses. The 5th house is love. 7th house is commitment. 8th house is sex. But if this Leo is your soulmate or twin soul, then his love will be directly connected to 8th house matters, which could mean sex. And also Leo rules your 5th house, so even your 5th house, it could be talking about his energy as well, because you keep seeing that number 7 and the 5th house and the 7th, and the 5th house and the 8th house. And also the 8th house connects to your 2nd house ruled by Taurus, and Taurus is also in your 5th house. Now your 9th house is your higher self, and this is Virgo, the home. So again, this person is open. See, the 9th house is your higher self, but it's long distance. It could be foreigners, long distance travel, religion, philosophy, in-laws, higher law. So all that's so Virgo is a certain, like it could be the home, but it could also be service. So this person may also any type of service. It could be military, it could be any type of service, or somehow their home is connected to something foreign or long distance. It's almost like when people as students from a foreign country come, or anything like that. Anything foreign where their home is connected to foreign. But what happens is Pluto retrograde means something's going to be taken from you. It shakes you up because Pluto's trying to transform you and move you on, and sometimes it's to help you appreciate things. But a Pluto retrograde definitely means a shake-up. Something suddenly is just taken from you, and it's something you were relying on, but the universe feels that it's holding you back from where you need to be in this life, and they'll just take it from you. Now, if you notice, you see 22, 24, and when you first started with your EP, it was 24 or 42. So they're kind of doing things with that, and we already did what the number 22 means, basically. Uranus retrograde, basically, it switches a person. If a person is kind of quiet, they'll all of a sudden become very talkative. If they're very talkative, all of a sudden they'll become very quiet. But Uranus is also, this person tends to be a rebel, and they're very extreme. No middle ground. It's either hot or cold. So in your 9th house, they're trying to teach you that you have to learn how to compromise, and that some rules and regulations are not necessarily bad. So you have to learn how to really not just rebel, because Uranus retrograde could be like that rebel. So your 9th house has a lot to do with your 6th house. But let me just explain. Whenever you see Gemini energy in a twin flames relationship, it's the early stages. See, your 6th house ruled by Virgo has Gemini there, but it's usually the early stages. The 3rd house is Gemini energy, early stages when they break up, separate, and go through all this stuff. But by the time you get to the 9th house, it's a little bit more mature, and maybe that's why you need these retrogrades to kind of push you into that maturity that's needed to stay in a relationship with your twin. Because ideally, the natal chart is really about you and your twin and your life purpose on this planet. It doesn't always go that way, though. But that's really what it's about. All right. "19 degrees, Virgo, inventive, honest character, always ready to defend one's right and the laws in general." And see, that's in your, and that's illegal. It's higher courts, your 9th house. And it's talking about defending laws in general. They say the person may not necessarily be quarrelsome, but they're not going to back down whenever they feel they're attacked. Ingenious, reforms, and inventive aiming and putting an end to entrenched routines bring about success, fame, and financial gains. But jealousy also comes in other words, your enemies. All go-between occupations are very favorable, including those of arbitrator or mediator. So again, this person may be involved something legally as well. Arbitrator, mediator. So let me just read this. Unless Jupiter, now remember, this just says 19 degrees Virgo. It didn't know that this was in the ninth house. So it knew nothing about travel. It knew nothing about the ninth house. All it knew was 19-degree Virgo. But they're saying unless Jupiter, because Jupiter does rule Sagittarius, and Sagittarius does rule the ninth house. Unless Jupiter and Mercury are positioned in Virgo in the natal chart, which yours aren't, and Jupiter rules the descendant, your Jupiter is in the descendant, but the descendant would be your descendant would be Cancer, and Jupiter is not the ruler of Cancer, but Jupiter is in Cancer. But I already know what they did. I'm still going to read this though. Jupiter rules the descendant. It is advisable to avoid traveling to foreign countries because one may undergo serious accidents, treachery, political or religious conflicts. So, but you have a connection, and I already explained the Gemini and the Sagittarius. So that's why they made your chart like that. But you may have in-law problems, or you may have, like they're saying, some type of problem with foreign. And they already told you Jupiter retrograde is foreign. So this may have already happened to you, or it may be getting ready to happen to you, and they may be warning you. So at the end of the day, you have to make your own decision. And like I said, with these readings, I can go so far with them. But at the end of the day, sometimes for people, you need a further reading. However you do it. You could do it here. You could do it wherever you want to. But you may still need a further reading. And you may be injured by secret enemies. Because for some reason, they keep warning you about enemies. So I don't know who you are. I don't know what your situation is. But I've done thousands of natal charts. I've never seen natal charts keep warning about enemies so much. And maybe I think it was warning you even before the degrees. It might just be the system, because this is my first day using the system. Maybe that's the degree system. It's my first time using it. So maybe who's ever wrote it, maybe they got paranoia or something. But I've never seen so many things about enemies. But now this was said too. Happiness and wealth are most likely to be short-lived and followed by sorrow and regrets. So it could be the person writing this, but then you got to ask yourself, is one person writing this whole thing that we're reading? I don't know, but the whole thing is like you're going to have a peak, but then it's going to fall off. That seems to be the thing that's being said. And sometimes, like I said, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But when you start to see retrogrades and stuff like that, be very careful. And Pluto does mean taking something away suddenly, and you really can't get it back at that time. So that's on any chart. That's on any chart. It has nothing to do with this system. So you have to be careful with that. And then they give you the number 22, which is what they're saying is a bad number. But I'm telling you, it's also twin flame connection as well. So when you move into your 10th, now when I see Libra in the 10th house, and you know what's unique about yours? It's way over. Your medium coeli, which is also part of your true life purpose. So your 5th house is connected to your 10th house through the medium coeli, your true life purpose. So whatever I said about your 10th house, it has some type of connection to your... Whatever I said about your 5th house true north node has some type of connection to your 10th house. But I'm just unique how your medium coeli is way over, almost in the 11th house. So they're trying to tell you something with that placement. So when I see Libra in the 10th house, this could be a marriage counselor, some type of partnership business going on. a legal, because Libra does deal with the law, but it also deals with social issues. It's something like that. So you would have some type of career in that as part of your medium coelic career, and that's ruled by Capricorn. So now you're going to, so they're doing it to you again. So once again, they're putting your 10th house, they're putting your 7th house in your first house, because your 7th house is in your first house because of Capricorn. Capricorn rule. Let me do this again. Your 10th house, which has Libra, ruler of your 7th house, is in your first house because of Capricorn, ruler of your 10th house. And then it's going to shoot over to your 7th house opposite your first house because Libra is there. But all this really is twin flame energy. So ultimately, what I'm trying to tell you, whatever you go through, it still has, it's directly connected to your twin. And it's pushing you to mature. Because Gemini energy has got to mature. Gemini energy has got to give away to Sagittarius. Because without Sagittarius energy, which is the 9th house, your higher self, you'll never connect with your twin. And so when you be seeing Pluto retrogrades, and sometimes that's done for a reason, to force you with your twin. And that's why in July, right next to your Juno, is Jupiter. And Jupiter and Juno also have a relationship in mythology. And that's right in your 7th house of family. Because you may have some family issues that make it hard for you to really commit. But in order to commit to your twin, that's what the universe is trying to do. So I hope you understand that. Because ultimately you're going to be pushed by the universe to be with your twin. That's why medium coeli is actually helping you in your 5th house, which is your true north node. So let's just see what it says about 39 degrees Libra. All right, let me see. Let me just do one thing. I want to make sure. Oh, it's 20. I'm sorry. It's 28 degrees Libra. That's a minute. 28 degrees Libra. Melancholic, which is kind of depressive, I think. Romantic and humble character. One amasses a great deal of knowledge and becomes an expert in one's field, but one is determined to stay out of the spotlight. So something's going to happen, because it's kind of funny. It kind of, like, earlier they were implying that you kind of not necessarily crave the spotlight, but earlier they were implying that you didn't really mind whether you were in it, and you knew you had to be in the spotlight to get to where you needed to be. Whereas at this point in your life, now they're saying now you're not, like I said, some type of maturity, but that's when you're going to connect with the twin. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If in the natal chart, the sun or Mercury is strong, which yours is, your sun is in the 3rd house, which is ruled by Mercury. This degree indicates that intellectual undertaking bring about outstanding success. So they keep saying you're going to be very successful. So I just have to warn you, because it keeps saying you're going to be very successful, but there's a chance you might be pulled down. Don't let your twin pull you down. That's why I be trying to teach people out here. Like, these guys think, oh, this is universal and there's so many signs and so many dreams. So they make it so important. But it's still a relationship. A person still got to relate to you, and they should be there to help build you up. Because if somebody's just pulling you down, the law of self-survival means you have to put yourself first. Always remember that. Like, you look at, no disrespect to nobody, but you look at Whitney Houston, and you saw how that went. So you never get, and she didn't stay with him anyway. They eventually ended up breaking up. So, and now she would still be alive had not it been for that, possibly. So you don't let somebody pull you down. And if it's really love, it's not gonna, real love, the person will be trying to build you up, not pull you down. So that's called maturity. You have to understand that it's maturity. So your medium coeli is actually showing you a later point, maybe in life, or maybe a later point where you're finally mature enough to be with your twin. And that's why you got those two planets, Pluto retrograde and Uranus retrograde, pushing it to happen. And they're taking you back to Virgo, which is your 6th house, and there's Gemini, because Gemini has got to grow up. They say even if you see Gemini in your 10th house, that's somebody that has many different jobs, goes from job to job. Because Gemini always is like shorter energy. And even the Gemini is very smart, but they don't go deep. That's why when you see they take Gemini and put Gemini with Scorpio, it's to grow Gemini up. Because Gemini don't like to go deep. Like if they feel like they got a general understanding, that's all they want. They don't want to hear no more. And they're real short attention span. Like they ain't really trying to hang out. They're not really trying to be down with anything. They do what they do, and then they want to keep it moving. So sometimes the universe will put Gemini with somebody like Scorpio, or somebody that's going to make them go deep. And now in your 11th house, again, in secret societies. Secret societies. Whenever you see Scorpio in the 11th house, this is friends, association, and groups. But it's usually secret societies. Like a lot of secrets here or there, secrets there. And also, whenever you see, let me tell you about, see, Scorpio is very suspicious. And they doubt a lot. And so does Neptune. Neptune can doubt a lot. So if you give like Neptune or Scorpio, they got to figure out what happened. They're going to choose negative usually. So you have to be very careful. And this is your friendship, association, and group sector. And your Neptune retrograde, usually this person keeps everything to themselves. Because Scorpio is very secretive anyway. But now you got Neptune retrograde is also very secretive. But this person can also get caught up with all kind of like addictions. Whether it's alcohol, drug addictions, sex addictions, all kind of crazy stuff. And it's being secretive about it in this house. And when you see Vesta there, now this is the deal on Vesta. She works for Virgo usually. She usually tries to help you be spiritual with the family. But Vesta can also be sexual. She's a priestess. So that's why I keep saying a priestess, and your whole Lilith says it. So she's secretive. Vesta can also be very sexual. But a lot of times she's not. But in your case, with this 11th house, this is like secret stuff, secret society, secret lovers, all kind of secret stuff going on. And even like whenever you get to like the higher degrees, 28, 24, that can deal with obsession. It could be spiritual too. Because a lot of people will tell you, well, sex is spiritual. But you just have to take it deeper though. Like you have to go deeper. And a lot of people don't want to. And you know, everybody has their own choice. But you always got to remember, the main thing is when you're bringing life in, if it's irresponsible, how can that possibly be good? Or you say, hey, you know, I slept with somebody last night. Or she's calling me up. She's saying I knocked her up. I'm not ready for this. Oh, just abort it. I'm not ready for this crap. I got other stuff I want. See, that type of stuff, that's bad karma. That's why when you start seeing retrogrades and stuff like that, that's when you're going to pay for that. So no matter what, your government might tell you, hey, it's okay. But God don't feel the same way. And that's one of the worst things you can do. So you got to understand when you're saying, oh, it's sex magic, or it's sex love, or it's sexual, it's spiritual. But you still got to be responsible. All right, so that's what you see going on there. Now, the Mars retrograde is the one we have to find out what's going on with Mars retrograde. It could cause a person to have self-doubt, passive aggressions, they're saying, inner anger, stress, anguish. And it can become unhealthy, especially if they direct it at others. It can create illness, heightened stress. It can increase in conflicts and severe road rage. Short tempers. So Mars retrograde for your past life, you may have trouble speaking up for yourself, but they kind of gave you all the energy to speak for yourself. A lack of self-confidence or self-doubt. And remember, this is the friends, association, and group sector. Even that could be your peers. It could be co-workers. Extended family, so to say. Lack of direction or other self-imposed emotional blocks. And again, this could also be talking about your twin. because your twin is in the 8th house. And Scorpio rules the 8th house. So this could also be talking about your twin. Because it's ironic, like with you, you don't seem to have those problems. But, maybe internally you do, or maybe in a past life you did, or maybe it's just your twin. Like some things only you would know. So you might look to others to fight your battles. And then you become disappointed when nobody steps up in your defense. You may feel like you're being a doormat to the one you love. And again, this could be you or it could be your twin. So you may speak up when it's all you can take, but then that's anger. And then it's anger out of proportion, quickly, and it can be harshly. This could be caused from past life experience when you were directed to perform regrettable acts under someone else's orders or demands, like a soldier, guard, or military. And I just got finished talking about the military. So that's interesting. So they're saying you need to find hobbies to focus your frustrations in sex in a productive manner. Building, hammering, gardening, other types of physical activities in a productive manner. Learn to relax. All right. So that's pretty much your 11th house. Vesta deals with fire. That's the asteroid Vesta. And she also deals with fire, like your fireplace, your furnace, any heater, any electricity. And wherever you see Vesta in your chart, this is where you need to slow down or you're going to burn out. Got to be able to take a rest and take breaks. She can also mean confinement as well. So it could be an elevator, it could be a prison cell. Now you got, that's interesting, 9-9 in your 12th house. Your 12th house ruled by Pisces is all about finality. Now, and that's what, yeah, see, that's interesting. You got 9-9. You really got 9-9-9 there because Sagittarius is the 9th house. So that's real deep. So in that, when I see something like that, I want to do 9 degrees Pisces and 9 degrees Sagittarius, especially since those cards came out in the beginning. Pleasant, clever. This is 9 degrees Sagittarius. Pleasant, clever, flexible character, endowed with excellent talent for mimicry, driven by an acute intellect, curiosity. One is always willing to reckon. It's funny they use the word reckon because this is your house of reckoning, the 12th house. Reckon with other people's experiences and reconsider one's standpoints. And that's why your Jupiter is retrograde to help you reconsider. These are valuable assets which open the road to success, fame, and wealth. However, it is necessary to ensure that skills are not misused and do not translate into forgery or the manufacture of fake products. And they would have told you that anyway. If I had went to it's another one I go to all the time. Another astrology, I forget the name of it. But whenever you see Sagittarius in 12th house, they would have told you the same thing this one's saying. That you're there to help people. Like Truth and Sagittarius. You're there to use your mental skills and everything to help people. The 12th house is about karma, karmic debt, finality, and Sagittarius there is to help other people. So you don't want to use your Sagittarius to make you feel like, well, I'm smarter, so I should get paid more money, or you shouldn't use your Sagittarius to just make yourself look big, like you're smarter than everybody else, or feel like the people should treat you a different way. Sagittarius in the 9th house is like to make you really help other people. So they say this type of person better stay away from forgeries and counterfeit money and fake whatever. Even fake. Oh, the Lord said he's going, if you don't give me $8 million, the Lord's going to take me. Now, somebody, I think one of the famous, they still talk about that man like he's a legend, but he's still, but he actually said that. Otherwise, one would incur serious legal problems. And I keep telling you, always got to be careful. Jupiter is still justice. And Sagittarius 9th house is legal problems. So it might even be legal problems there. But they're saying some of your legal problems might be from the universe, or some of your legal problems might be because you actually thought you were smart enough to get away with it. And now the universe is going to tell you, no, you're not. And right now, I keep telling everybody Jupiter is in Scorpio, which is exposing a lot of stuff right now. And they say you don't want to have to escape because legal problems become so bad that you actually try to escape. All right, so now that was 9. So that was 9 degrees. Now 9 degrees Pisces. Fiery, discerning, independent character, success and fame can be achieved in all careers requiring personal initiatives. Religion, law, and literature. Once again, taking you back to the 9th house yet again. Publishing is in 9th house, but publishing is also in the 3rd house, ruled by Gemini. Very favorable. Throughout life, many hurdles are overcome, many prejudices are fought, and many injustices are abolished. So it's quite obviously you're actually here to help your twin, and he's probably going to be some type of sensitive indigo or crystal child. He's going to kind of need your help, but don't let him pull you down. Okay, so that is Sagittarius reckoning, and okay, and wherever you see Sagittarius, so your 12th house is your 6th house, ruled by Virgo, where there's Gemini energy, but then you got to go to your 3rd house, ruled by Pisces, and Pisces rules your 12th house, and then you got to go to your 9th house, ruled by Virgo, which is the home. So this is all these areas you want to look at, and probably want to look at your family as well. These are areas you have to reckon with in your 12th house to come to some type of reckoning. So you have to really be honest with yourself. That's why I say always taking notes, setting goals, and trying to reckon with yourself and get whatever help you need to do so. Give me one moment. Now we're going to do part of fortune or good fortune, which is that circle with the X going through it. Good fortune in the 12th house. Give me a moment. All right, we're just going to read this. This is going to be good fortune in the 12th house. I'm just reading something. Just give me a second. Like this person is really going off on this is just a long explanation that, in my opinion, really is not even needed. But just give me one moment. And now see, this is something else talking about enemies. So you definitely got enemies because everything I'm touching keeps saying enemies. This has nothing to do with that system I was using. And see, you have to understand too, whenever they show me something new, it's a reason. When I say they, I'm talking spirit. Like whenever they show me a different, cause just yesterday I just started like really going with the degrees. I was doing it from a numerology aspect, which is still going to be similar anyway, still numbers. All right. So when part of fortune or good fortune, same thing, is in the 12th house, great joy can come from one's subconscious mind. Because your 12th house connects directly to your subconscious mind, which connects directly to your past lives. Again, they say it is a very spiritual person, and that's why, again, that's the cards that came out. Pisces, spiritual, and Sagittarius. So the 12th house, good fortune in the 12th house empowers any non-material matters of the chart owner. But I really think they made you that strong spiritual to help your twin. I really believe that. And I kind of get that. I'm talking about your twin. See, I don't know if this chart we're going to look at. I haven't looked at it yet. I don't know. But your twin soul is probably almost like the opposite of you. And I really think when they talk about you going down or falling, it's because of them. That's what I think. As the 12th house is ruling services towards others, the part of fortune makes the person emphatic towards the people around him and always willing to help without expecting something in return. And that's what I told you. That's why you're there. That's why your Sagittarius is in the 12th house. And that's what they were trying to tell you in the beginning. Because you could be your self-made island. You really don't need anybody. If this chart is right, you really don't need anybody. But what the universe is saying now, because you do want to get back, you can see it in your second house. But they don't want you just to get back financially. They actually want you there with the people as well. And then they say you'll also fill the people with joy. And they say this will make you kind towards your enemies. Forgiving their wrongdoing will be another personal way of reaching divinity. Curiously enough, such chart owners can get a lot of spiritual benefits through solitude. So you have to find a balance because this isn't about solitude. Yeah, the funny thing is the 12th house is about solitude as far as you going into your subconscious and getting your stuff together. That's true. But the 12th house is also about helping people. So it's not all about solitude. And so they encourage you to meditate, which is good for Jupiter and Sagittarius, and your Jupiter is retrograde, so you can meditate. We already covered that. It's trying to help you ascend higher levels of consciousness. And you're also still to be a teacher because you're going to be teaching global truths throughout the collective unconscious. And it does deal with buildings. The 12th house can deal with confinement or buildings. And it could be any building. Hospital, church, police station, mental ward, whatever. And they say someone with part of fortune or good fortune in the 12th house could be a strong medium. So this type of person, because this is the house of confinement, this person may end up in a monastery or anything isolated. Like some of these people may become like nuns or stuff like that. And they say you'll get luck. They say like if you work in prisons, asylums, or hospitals, you'll get luck. See, you usually when Jupiter is in the 12th house, it may be really good. But Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Jupiter also in the 12th house talks about a guardian angel where nothing can happen to a person. They say when you go in places of confinement, I already mentioned, you can experience life-changing events or else be benefit. But again, I think it's not just about you. It's about the people that'll be benefiting by you. And that's why you see people following other people, which that's something I never understood. But you see people with big mega churches or just people that just have a large following of people because the power that's on that person is helping them one way or another. And you may have great luck through paranormal experiences. You may not be able to explain how positive things just happen to appear and bless you, but they will appear out of the blue. And the 12th house is strongly connected with karma and previous lives or past lives. So these may be manifestations of good karma surplus, good karmic surplus. But don't think all karma is good because it's not. So I don't even want to give. I'm not saying all of it's bad, but don't just think it's going to be all good. So your series of unbelievable events will bring you great happiness. In the case you have Jupiter, Venus, or the Sun conjunction with the Photona, such experiences are even more probable to happen. Like, you do have the connections that I already explained. It may not necessarily be conjunctional, but it is connected. So they say part of fortune or good fortune in your 12th house is great for people who want to develop their inner self. But they said what happens, you have to be careful, because a lot of your problems, they say don't get used to it, because a lot of your problems will just get solved like this, like this, like this, and you may become, just take it for granted. So they said don't just take things for granted. So always stay grounded, keep your feet on the ground, and that's maybe why they gave you an ascendant of Capricorn, because Capricorn is an earth sign, to keep you grounded. So you want to always be aware of the transit chart, not your natal, because right now we're talking about your natal chart. Your transit chart is what's up in space right now, because you want to know what planets are going through your 12th house, because it's going to affect you. Especially if they're slow-moving planets, and especially if they're conjunctions. So because a slow planet like Saturn, if it came into your 12th house, it could delay stuff. All right, so there you have it. Now, just so people know how this usually goes, once we explain all this, we're not going to re-explain it. Like, I'm not going to tell you what Libra means again. I've already done that. I will explain the house, of course, but we're not going to explain everything again if we've already explained it. And also, this is already almost at 2 hours. So what we're going to do is stop it, because I can only go to 2.5 hours. If I go longer, sometimes I have trouble when I try to make it into a video, it doesn't come out and things like that. So I usually stop it around 2.5 or 2 hours, which I'm going to do. This is almost 2 hours. And when we come back, we'll be going right to the chart on the right. Alrighty, now we're looking at the chart on the right. Starts off immediately with Libra as the ascendant. But now, if you're noticing, and see, he does the same thing. Starts off at a 0 degree, which is unique. And it's on the border. It could be either Scorpio or Libra. So if you remember what I said about this other chart, it's already starting off with Scorpio or Libra. But his is 12th house. See, his 12th house, they made it into a first house. So now we're going to have to learn a little bit about the 12th house, because they're taking his house of ending and making it his ascendant, which is the first house. And they're forcing his 11th house to become the 12th house. And you can even count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Medium Coeli should be a 10th house, but not always. But I also used the system and counted his Neptune, which is the 2nd house. But his Scorpio has now become the 2nd house. So it's important that you realize that. And they do this all for a reason. Usually you need both charts to really see. Like, you would need his twins chart, and then you would see why they do that. But I just try to explain what's going on, so that if people are listening, see, my job is to explain it the way it's coming from the universe. And then people have to take notes and figure this out. And a lot of people just go with their feelings and and that's why, oh, is this my twin? It's not my twin, it's a fake twin, and blah, blah, blah. But if you do it the correct way, you know who your twin is. Like, you have the universe, you have the natal charts, so you would know. It wouldn't be based on feelings. Something like this, if you're basing it solely on feelings, you're going to have a problem. So that's why I tell people to take notes. You know, got to really study, really learn, and some people don't want to do it that way. So there's nothing you can do. All right, so again, first we are going to start we got to realize this is his first house, but because they put the first house in the 12th with the AC, the ascendant, and the EP, you got to treat this house as the 12th and first house. Now, you have to do that with every house. No, you do not. But the 12th and the first house are essential because it's going to teach you about past life, karmic debt, and everything. So this is why we do it this way. All right, so the first thing you want to look at is 21 degrees Libra. Neglectful, unwise, and unrealistic character. As one readily flaunts one's wealth, one is bound to be taken advantage of by friends and relatives. However, since one is intelligent and hardworking, one manages to be successful and to achieve power. But it's funny how it's talking about the same stuff we just got finished talking about with the chart on the left. Friends and relatives, unwise, unrealistic. And that's just 20 degrees Libra. We haven't even talked about Neptune and Scorpio yet. So that's why I said when you're dealing with, it doesn't always have to be your twin, though. It can also be your soulmate. But sometimes they're going to be the opposite of you. So you have to really be aware of that. But it's too early in this reading to say the relationship yet. But you do see that, you already see a Libra Scorpio connection. Now again, the 12th house, which has now become the first house, but we still have to deal with it as a 12th house and first house because of the situation. This particular house. Twelfth house would deal with the prenatal experience while a baby's still in the mother's womb. And the first house would deal with the birth. But in this case, they kind of put those two together. So remember when we explained what the 12th house is about, reckoning and the unconscious and karma and endings and reckoning, confinement. So we're going to deal with a Libra. It says a pleasant pregnancy where the mother is calm and relaxed. Give me one moment, please. The mother may indulge in excessive amounts of food and treat herself to relaxing activities and music. And that might have been why Raphael came out, because he was talking about breathing. So that might be why Raphael came out in the beginning of the reading with the angel cards. There may be issues regarding money and expenses, along with an evaluation about possible change in values or the family, either during the pregnancy or when the child arrives. The prenatal experience is relaxing with the child, and the birth may occur late or be induced because the mother does not go into labor on time. All right. So we're also going to look at Scorpio as well. Power or control struggles during the pregnancy are found with this placement. The unborn child can be the centerpiece of power plays between the mother and father or in-laws. And we were talking about in-laws on the other chart as well. Suspicions may run high during the pregnancy relating to any possible issue at hand. The mother is careful during the pregnancy and does not trust anyone. She is careful to maintain her resources for the coming birth so that she will not be in need when the baby arrives. And then we're going to deal with the planet Neptune. An unsure or confused feeling during pregnancy and birth is common with this placement. The mother may feel confused or unsure about motherhood or having another child. There may simply be unsettled issues in the mother's life that create a foggy cloud around the pregnancy and birth. The mother may feel like she is on shaky ground and her life is unsure of how the new baby will fall into place. She may also feel slightly detached from the pregnancy. Now, if it sounds like some of the stuff is contradicting, you got to remember what we said about the left side, because we already saw a contradiction on the left side. One side wants together a relationship, let's be close knit and together and everything, but another side is like, well, I still need my space. So it's not so far fetched that you would see this again. And it's this. We talked a lot about Libra on the other chart, and we talked a lot about Scorpio on the other chart. So that's why I said sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's external, where people look like, hey, this guy looks like my father or something. It's external sometimes, and then sometimes it's just internal, personality and just stuff. That's why I said this is more, when you really understand it, it's really more about thinking, understanding, taking notes. And that's why people take classes on this. People have seminars on this. It's really not as social as people want it to be. They want it to be social. If it's love, it has to be this way. Love should be this way and all that. But it's different. That's why I gave the references of DNA Awakening, 2 videos you can watch. And on my free report I give out for the natal charts, I'll put that information there too. All right. So now the ascendant being Libra. Well, Libra, Virgo, and Neptune, they kind of like things a certain way. Like Libra wants everything to be, what they perceive to be fair and balanced, and they like partnerships and relationships. So they want somebody or something around them. They can be sociable. But what happens with Libra? See, Virgo can kind of be known for being overly critical. Virgo can be really good with finding things that other people didn't see. Very analytical, very quick to pick things up. But that can be nerve-wracking. Like if a Libra doesn't get their way, they kind of tend to keep wanting to talk about it. Like even if you say, okay, we'll agree to disagree, they might say yeah, but they're still going to try to figure out a way to make you see things their way. So that could be nerve-wracking in itself. And we already told you how Scorpio can be as well. So now we're going to start to treat it as the first house. But I just wanted to explain that. And we're still going to do the 12th house as the 12th house, because the 12th house has now become Virgo in the 12th house. And again, when there was Virgo issues on this see how her Virgo has Uranus and Pluto and so does his. See, this is how you see the connection. Not yet, definitely a soul connection or a karmic connection, but not necessarily proven to be a twin connection just yet. But even her Neptune has Scorpio, so it's getting there, but still not yet. But now we're gonna deal with that. We're gonna deal with. Let's deal with Mercury. Let's deal with a Scorpio in the second house, because now we're gonna start to count the way they did it for this life. But I was trying to show you how they connected the 12th house to the ascendant and made it the first house. We've done that. So now we're going, now Scorpio would be the second house because that's the way they intended. When I say they, the people that assembled this natal chart. And the same people that ascended this natal chart are the same people to watch over your life throughout your entire life. And I was looking for the site I use is called astrologyclub.org because I didn't remember it earlier in the video. Scorpio in the second house, your ability to get your basic survival needs met is strongly influenced by your level of emotional and or spiritual vulnerability and your expression of true power. Because remember, Scorpio rules the 8th house, and Scorpio is a very emotional sign, all about power. If you feel self-confident and strong, you are more likely to attract and maintain the financial, material, physical resources that you need to live in your desired lifestyle. However, if you are lacking self-confidence or feel that you are in a position of emotional weakness, you may find it harder for you to attain what you need or want in this regard. You may become obsessed with your emotional, spiritual connections to others to the point that you'll relate to the people in your life as possessions or resources rather than simply as people you care about. And the reason why they're telling you that is because Taurus rules the second house, and Taurus will put value on people. You can put value on positions, but you shouldn't put value. Not like you wouldn't value like how you would do your car or something, compare your car to your lawnmower. So you wouldn't do that with people. Your emotional, spiritual connection tends to hold more personal value to you than the actual financial material value or amount of the resources you attract to bring into your life. This position related to the determination of values of truth, especially to the higher values of truth, where truth could be applied to the material aspects of life rather than purely the security viewpoint. Here too, the Scorpio must realize the value of spiritual development. The second house brings in the intuitive faculty, and Scorpio is an intuitive sign. Thus, the location of the Scorpio in the crust of the second house emphasizes the proper use of intuition. But now we just want to remember what was going on in the house to the left. Because Scorpio over there uh, the person they said would be kind of lazy. In other words, they wouldn't want to. They wouldn't want to enter the dog eat dog world. So that may have something to do with this Scorpio, because Leo in the eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, and that's what it said. That Leo in the eighth house, they really didn't want to really get down and dirty, like to really do what's needed to get food on the table and stuff like that, and that they called them lazy. And they kind of said that about this Scorpio over here, but see, Neptune and Scorpio, you have to be careful because Neptune can be deceptive, and a lot of times when you see Neptune and Scorpio, a lot of times these people think they have medical problems that they really don't, or it's not as extreme as they make it out to be, or they have a level of deception. So let's just do what we're gonna do. I don't know if we did it yet, but we're gonna make sure. We're gonna do 19 in Scorpio, 19 degrees Scorpio. Proud, independent, fair character, attracted to Oriental matters. It's funny how he said that, attracted to Oriental matters. That's interesting. Success and fame can be achieved in politics and or reforms and discoveries, particularly if the sun is strong in the natal chart. It's funny how they said if the sun is strong, because again, Leo is a sun sign. Going back to the chart on the left. This degree heralds that the greatest honors are granted and that all ambitions are fulfilled, even the wildest ones. Now we're going to do Scorpio in the second house. Or we're going to do Neptune and Scorpio. We already did Scorpio in the second house. We're going to do Neptune and Scorpio. And this is myastrologybook.com. This occurred in 1956 to 1970, and before that in 1906. This was the 60s. With Neptune and Scorpio, the energy was present and powerful to open you to the psychic side of life and or escape through drugs, alcohol, sex, meditation, or spiritual practices. Because Neptune rules Pisces, which can be spiritual, but it can also be deceptive. The path through Scorpio is transformation or degeneration. And not only was the choice intense and continual during this period, but many souls incarnating at this time were paying off karmic debts by being born to parents abusing drugs, parents who abuse drugs. Now remember, her chart shows there may be a downfall, and I already told you it might be her twin. Now this chart is kind of showing you the downfall because it's in the financial sector. Just so you know, the second house is your financial sector. Now the exploration of both inner and outer worlds began with the space programs and the importation of Eastern philosophy. It's fun. See how he said Eastern philosophy? Because that other one said Oriental. Now remember, these are two different websites. So it's not like I'm using the same system. This is two different websites saying this. That's why I said when you're taking notes, you have it there. What people like to do, they try to argue. And I never argue. That's just silly. Just get the information because you may need it. Because I could argue I'm the most handsome man in the world. I'm going to be wrong every time. So you can argue it. That's why I don't waste my time with that. Get the information. If it's valuable, use it. If it's not, keep it moving. And that's why when you hear a lot of people on YouTube, they tell you if it doesn't resonate with you, just move on or go whatever resonates with what you're seeing or feeling in your own life. Because people want to argue and all that. That's not going to solve anything. So somehow this person has a connection to the Oriental or the Eastern, and who knows, because like Sagittarius could be foreign, that could have had something too, Who knows? Techniques and hallucination drugs. But see, so their money is wrapped up in stuff like that, like the occult or drugs and stuff like that. And that's how you could lose a lot of money as well. It might even be wrapped up in psychic stuff or whatever. And remember, Taurus, like I said, Taurus wants to have fun in the 5th house, but Taurus rules the 2nd house. So this is a person that would try to come up with money just to just blow it or gamble it or just go out in a casino or something like that. So they said many sensitive people, because I told you he may be a sensitive child. Even though he's an adult, they still call it a crystal child, sensitive child, intuitive child. Many psychics and sensitives came in with Neptune and Scorpio. And they said if afflicted, that means that in a past life they misused psychic energy. So now they got to purify in this life. And they have to be careful because the opening of psychic centers can result in obsession. So they have to be very careful. But this type of person is unafraid of the dark side of life. They're interested in esoteric religion, mystical, and mysticism in the occult. And they see sexual desires or low-level desires, physical desires, not only acceptable, but they see it as spiritual. And that was kind of going on in that 11th house on her chart, on the chart to the left. And then in their house, which is interesting, in Gemini, the 3rd house, they have Sagittarius. Now that could be her to the left. But it also means this person could also be educated. Even though they're a Gemini, even if they're going in and out of education, they're also educated. But they also mean they may speak a foreign language. They may speak more than one language. But they may have some foreign contacts. It could be through the internet, or it may be actual foreign. Because remember, they warned her. The 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius, and they warned her that you may have problems if you go foreign. If you go foreign, a long distance or foreign country, or you may have trouble in these foreign areas. Anything foreign, it could even be the internet even. But anything foreign, there may be some trouble there. And in his 4th house, he's got Capricorn. And she has a connection to Capricorn with the 4th house. We already talked about that. But again, this is an old soul. This could also be like a family. This could be like a family business, though. But it's an old soul or a serious soul, because he has no type of confirmation of a family other than Capricorn. It might have been a parent or parents that they were so busy with a family business or whatever. Or a Capricorn, which is kind of a serious personality, that they really didn't had that much of a family. And they worry a lot about career or public reputation, so they worry a lot about what people think. Now, fifth house with Aquarius, that's always a unique. Like they're going to date what you call unique people or weird people or people that are not what you call common people. They like anything that's not common. And their dating is going to be not common. And also they can like, because they'll even tell you sex toys, anything like that in the 5th house. So it's anything that's not common, not necessarily acceptable by others. And it's still a community sign. So their 5th house, because of Aquarius, is going to go right to that 11th house. And that's the 11th house. And right there you see Leo. Right in that 11th house. And just like her 11th house has Vestas, so does his. So you definitely see a soul connection so far. See, a lot of times when you're dealing with karmic relationships, that's why I said they offset it. But they did it on purpose. What I'm trying, like, people don't like to admit this, but the natal charts prove it. But a lot of times you're meeting with people and you can't figure out what's going on, but it's offset. I just did a guy, and I've talked to this guy, everything. Personally, I've talked to this guy. And I said it. I said, man, they're really effing with you. Because we took his chart, the female he thought was his twin, and another female. And we put them all, and that chart is on his channel right now. Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. So when you go on the channel, open it up, and the first one you see with the 3 charts, that's that gentleman. And I kept saying to him, they're effing with you. I said, because they keep offsetting it. I'm just like, I know what they're doing. I said, they're effing with you. And I said, it's like I said, they're going to throw the ball, and you'll almost get there right at that moment. But at the exact moment that ball comes down, you're going to miss it. Like by a matter of a few seconds. And they did it all through his chart. It's an offset. But the one he wanted to be his twin was not. The other one was closer to being his twin. So he really wanted the other one to be. So he said, I've been saying they've been fucking with me for the longest. He said, you're the first guy to admit it. I said, yeah, you can see it on the chart. So like out here we don't play games. Like we just give it, you know, people want me to be more lying to you, you know, catering to your emotions and just ripping you off financially. I don't do stuff like that. So I just tell you like it is, and then you have to be kind of mature enough to deal with it, or not. It's totally up to you. But I'm not going to be going through exchanges and stuff like that. Whatever on the chart is what's on the chart. There's nothing I can do about it, and it's not necessarily bad. It just takes maturity to deal with it. So now with Sagittarius in the 3rd house once again. So he may travel, but the thing is, it's in and out. And that could be a person that, you know, goes back and forth from one location to another. And we already did the 4th house with the Cancer 5th house. Okay, so now we get to the Virgo Pisces connection. And see, now you're starting to see it again. Now, you see, watch. Count hers. 1, 2, 3, 3rd house, ruled by Gemini. Pisces is there. When you go to her 6th house ruled by Virgo, Gemini is there. When you go to his 6th house ruled by Virgo, Pisces is there. And there'll be more when you get around the chart. But now Pisces is in her 3rd house. But in her 6th house is Gemini. See, they're doing it. They're offsetting. See, there's a connection, but it's not. See, a twin flame story tells a story. Both charts tell a story. They almost complement each other. But when you're dealing with soulmates and karmic relationships, it offsets. You see a lot of offsets. But I'm not done. I'm still got a lot of this chart to go through. But I'm just trying to teach you how this is done. And again, that's why I said I could tell you, but a lot of times people's emotions get involved and they don't want to listen. But when you see it, you can see it tells the story. It's almost like one door closes, another, and it opens right to that person's door. That door closes, it opens to that person. It's a twin. That's a twin soul. A karmic relationship a lot of times is offset. And sometimes I watch when the creators did this, that I know that they argue. I said, I guarantee you two argue a lot. And she was like, yeah, we do argue. We argue all the time. Because you can see it's done that way. That the people that did this. So people say, well, if it's done that way, does it matter? It always matters because you have power. But you have to accept it. It always matters. So like somebody could, like, they could put you right next to your twin. But if you don't want to talk to your twin, you still ain't going to talk to him. And if your twin don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you no matter how powerful, how many synchronicities and how many times they put them together. Because it's not like they're going to go, hey, the universe keeps putting us together. This must be right. Let's elope. Let's make love. They might do that because it's lower level. They'll have sex. Sex is easy. Everybody will always have sex. That's easy. That's low level. But that whole emotional thing, attachment to you, I want you to be my man or all that, or a woman, that's not necessarily going to happen just because the universe puts them two together. But now the sex part, that's easy. Like that's the biggest. That's why you got all these problems with all the sexual problems we have on this planet because it's low level. But it's just easy. Everybody wants to have sex. But the more commitment, the more seriousness, that's a little bit more difficult. So again, but he's a spiritual person too, because that's his service sector. And his Chiron, that's the first retrograde he has, is Chiron. because he needs healing. He has a wound in the 6th house due to the Virgo or the home energy that hasn't healed yet. So because we already know that the 6th house is about service and home, and it's also healing, but it's got to do with Pisces, and it probably has to do with the 12th house as well. So he's got home things just like this person. Now, does it mean they're twins? It could mean they're twins, but it could also mean they have a relationship or will have a relationship. And it could have it could be home-like to a certain degree, or will become home-like. All right. So remember, when the angel cards gave you the moon in Pisces. Now you're looking at Lilith, which is the black moon in Pisces, in the 6th house. All right. So now we're going to open this back up again. We're going to find Lilith again. We're going to do Lilith in Pisces. Blurriness and impressions. In other words, like false impressions, because Neptune makes Pisces somewhat idealistic, which could be a false impression. So they may, because Pisces likes the sacrifice. So they're saying this person may sacrifice, but then they're not going to really like it. Because that's Pisces. That's Lilith. Lilith can be real internal, whether she's retrograde or not. They say fantasy, art, and inspiration are very strong here. But you have to be very careful because it's easy to succumb to illusions and surrealities again and again. So they don't even see life as being, they see life more as being virtual than real. Like, the real world, like get up and get a job and stuff like that. But they would rather deal with Scorpio and the other stuff, the mysticism and the esoteric. So that's what they mean by virtual, surreal. And that's Lilith in Pisces, and then you want Lilith in the 6th house. So this person will succumb to rational temptations of perfection. That's because of Virgo. Correctness and hygiene. But they're also going to be battling an intuitive attraction as well. They're going to go through a battle between understanding and feelings. So they just got finished. I just didn't read it, but they said with Virgo energy, they're going to kind of want perfection, but then they're going to fight against perfection. And they may be critical just for the sake of being critical. Like they're not really, they're just being critical because they say because of the Lilith energy. But they're saying this person can find their healing in helping other people. But what they also teach, it's good to help other people to kind of heal yourself, but you still got to get healing for yourself too. Like to keep running, and just helping other people, never facing your issues. You got to face your issues as well. And they said it again, this person is going to have a problem where they want to, they may be in a partnership, but they're still going to want their freedom. So they're a lot like the other person. So all I can tell you guys is this, because I know, and we're still friends. This person's almost been out here as long as I've been doing this. And they did that one time. They gave me a natal chart and everything, and I looked at it, and I was like, man, there's no way you guys are twins. And they were basically, you know, oh, I know what I feel, and I do card readings too, and I know this is my twin, and I know, and they were totally confident it was their twin. I didn't see any whatsoever, no twin flame connection whatsoever. So they went to separation. It took about a year or so, maybe longer than a year. They went into separation. But like I said, she is a card reader. But through her card reading, she started getting information. So she said, hey, I want you to do another chart for me. Check this out. And we did that one. And then on that one, I could see more of a twin flame connection on that one. So like when feelings get involved, it's like that, you know. And sometimes I can only tell you what I see. Like I can't stretch it or whatever else. I definitely see like a karmic relationship between these two, but I couldn't call it twin yet. Now he's got Saturn retrograde, which is unique. It's in the 6th house, but it's almost going into the 7th house. Oh yeah, and the number 17 is also the number of the Magi priest. Just so you know, but it also deals with karma. And also 1 plus 7 breaks down to 18. So it does deal with karma, just so everybody knows. Okay, so this is the other social planet, Jupiter being the first. Saturn slows everything down, but it becomes a tough taskmaster. So you got to be careful because you don't want to be a tough taskmaster, because even in this is the home and service and healing sector, the 6th house. So you don't want to be a tough taskmaster because you're supposed to be home. You don't want your home to be. You don't want to be a big boss. But that's what you see on the other chart, because you see that Capricorn showing up and stuff like that on the other chart to the left. And plus when you're healing, it's all about relaxation. You don't want to be stressed out. So Saturn retrograde can make a person work harder or take longer to think things through. There are no shortcuts with a Saturn retrograde. Detailed plans shouldn't be rushed. And again, so this is in Virgo. So that means he's a very detail-oriented person. And see, remember when Raphael said breathe? That's what this says. Take time to breathe and do things right the first time. Person may also have issues with authority. Working on legal matters such as contracts or deals may be delayed. Deadlines may be extended, and they may find themselves working on something that they thought was already complete. This is all Saturn retrograde. They may always be in conflict with authority. They may feel persecuted by their boss or upper management. They may abuse their own authority or position. Now this person is going to have trouble in setting limitations or determining the limits of others around them. And that's difficult because Pisces is all about self-sacrifice. So you don't want to be helping people so much that you're not taking care of yourself or helping yourself. They call that martyring yourself. You may also, okay. So, and they may have a trouble voicing themselves or to those in authority, and that increases their victimization. And they also have a problem with patience. They have to learn to be patient. So they may have had a lifetime in an abusive situation, either as a victim or abuser. They may have been a prisoner, enslaved, or they may have been an abusive ruler. And they were probably immensely impatient in the past life. They may look for an easy way out, and they kind of said that about the Leo and Scorpio. And they said that about Leo in the 8th house on the other chart. So the lesson they must learn in this life is patience and also being accountable as a leader or accountable for the actions and even accountable for the life around you. They said if you feel abused, hold those accountable for their actions. Learn how to constructively voice your concerns and opinions, and don't abuse your authority. They say make plans, set strategies, and work hard on your task. And they always say work to help other people, because that's what Pisces is about, and that's what service is about. Because these people have problems just like you do, but that'll help you in your healing. Now in the 7th house is relationship. Now see, that's unique. See, now they reversed it. See, first house is supposed to be ruled by Aries, and that is I am. Your first house should be I am, but your 7th house should be Libra. Now that's more about a relationship, but for him they have it reversed. See, his first house is about relationship and partnership and all that, but you don't want to be I am in a relationship sector, because how are you gonna have a relationship if you're I am? And then the moon again is going to bring a lot of secrets there, and also make it very emotional or feminine, and that's not really going to be good. See how his 7th house is like her house. This is how you know they're connected. But I really can't say it's they're definitely connected, because she said there's a connection. You can see the connection. See, his 7th house is her 4th house. So that's that whole family thing going on with the moon, the feminine aggression. And she got Lilith there. But on this chart, Lilith is over there. Now remember, whenever you're dealing with a time that you're not certain of, Lilith could easily be in his house with Aries. You don't know that for a fact. But we'll take it as it is. But just to keep that as a note. So they both got some type of Capricorn, Saturn stuff going on, and aggressive women energy in the and really in the family sector or relationship sector. So on his chart, there's an aggressive feminine presence. And again, Palace helps you see patterns, but there's an aggressive feminine emotional presence in the relationship sector. So that's going to make it difficult for him to have relationships. But they kind of said that about the man in her chart as well. And that's why that type of guy might try to help other people. But they say he's kind of like a tough taskmaster. So you can't be a tough taskmaster when you're supposed to be helping people with compassion, Pisces compassion. Then we go into his 8th house where Taurus is. And that's his true north node. And that's her true north node is Taurus. So that's also the connection. So they both have an 8th house, their vertex, that's the cross. So his true north node is to be like a Taurus in the 8th house. Now, one thing about Taurus in the 8th house, because the 8th house does deal with money, but it's usually other people's money or shared money. And Taurus rules the 2nd house, which is really about that person's money. So that's interesting. And Taurus can be very sensual in the 8th house as well. See, yeah, like I said, they reversed it. So in his money house, number 2, that should be his money. Because Taurus rules that 2nd house. But they put Scorpio. So Scorpio is other people's money. So that's what I'm saying. So he could actually be blowing other people's money on anything having to do with drugs or getting high or staying drunk or even investments. Like in the occult, in the investments in unknown things. Because this is shared resources and all that kind of stuff. But he could actually be losing money that way. So he might find himself in a relationship with somebody, his soulmate would be like of a Taurus energy. So that is her true north node. So that would be the first sign of a twin flame situation. But it's still not fully, it's not fully, but then that's his true north node too. So now that looks a little bit more like it. But everything up to that point is still like soulmate. Because like I told you, that cross could also be soulmate. It doesn't have to be twin soul. I already explained all that. But he has a lot of similarities. But we'll continue. 9th house, higher self. Now, Gemini energy. And is nurturing there. Part of fortune. And Juno. See, like I said, he's creative, but his creations is going to be different. Because he likes stuff that would be considered foreign. Or stuff that's considered like anti. Because even Sagittarius or Aquarius could mean the internet. And they both like their independence. But Aquarius really likes weird stuff. Stuff that most people are not really attuned to. And then Sagittarius deals with higher stuff, higher self, but even foreign language, philosophy. So his creativity would be a little bit different, but he's still creative. So his 9th house and his 6th house, they're all, both of those houses, 3rd house and the 9th house. That's what I meant to say. 9th house and 3rd house. 9th house and 3rd house. They're both about communications, creativity, higher learning. So Juno means he might find himself in a relationship with somebody that has either Gemini or Sagittarius energy. And if you notice, her good fortune is also Sagittarius. But it's still implying so far soul relationship, or karmic soul relationship, karmic debt, if you want to say that. And then if you notice, her Gemini has Curious, so does his. But you wanted to tell a story. Juno, it would either be Sagittarius or Gemini. All right. Now, when you move to the 10th house, again, you have the family and the career sector. And you got a lot of passive aggression. But ironically, not only do you have a lot of passive aggression, but you also have, Venus and Mars, that's passive aggression, male, female. One wants to love, one wants to war. But all in the family. And remember, the family is also education, teenage to adult education, land and property or real estate, family and relatives, ancestors, the heart, or even vehicles for travel. So that's all a possibility for his career sector. But it's Cancer. But he definitely gets money there. And his medium Coeli is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It deals right, like I said, soul family, because his medium Coeli takes him right back to his 8th house or his true north node, which again is soul, is like a soul family. And that's what I was trying to tell you. This is more like a soul connection. And you do have similarities on the chart, so that's why that's the connection you're feeling. And like I said, that's why people really have to study those videos I keep telling them to study at DNA Awakening. Because just because, like I said, your twin could be your twin, but you guys just don't get along. Because it's healing. And on DNA Awakening, they said usually you can't even talk to your twin a lot of times. And he said even if you did talk to your twin, it's not going to stop the healing, the pain and stuff. So you have to really understand that. But in this case, this is more like soul. This is soulmate. This is karmic soul relationship. All right, so you start seeing that 17 degrees, and that is karmic, just like I told you. But I just want to read it here. Give me a second. We have to find it. We're going to do 17 degrees Cancer. Reckless, extravagant, coward character. One is unable to manage one's destiny properly because one is only concerned with superficial pleasures and external appearances. The lavish lifestyle one enjoys is beyond one's means and may bring about big financial losses. Should the natal chart concur, there is a danger of poisoning through gas, chemical substances, and narcotics. Because we definitely saw the drug use. All right. So that's 17 degrees Cancer. Now we'll even do 20 degrees Cancer. The degree portends loneliness, extreme poverty, and perhaps exile or imprisonment abroad in difficult circumstances. Friends are unwilling or unable to help. Trips to foreign countries are strongly advised against. One might think thoroughly before taking action and opt for a quiet and modest life in order to offset the dangers of drowning in both the literal and figurative sense, which are associated with this degree. So, but there's money there, and like remember, Jupiter does rule Sagittarius. So and then she's got Jupiter in her Cancer. So that's why I said. So somebody might say that and say, "Listen, there's too many similarities. I know it's my twin. It's quite obvious." I'm saying it doesn't work that way. You got to go by Juno. You got to go by the vertex. It could be the true north node too. It's just other factors because your soulmate can look exactly. I've seen charts that blew my freaking mind. And when you understand how this really works, like 1 week I'll get all Pisces or something. When the same thing, and sometimes the names are similar. Sometimes the charts are similar. Like and when I first started, if you knew how many times that stuff happened, now I'm used to I try to double check everything. But this stuff happens all the time. That's why I said, it's nothing I can do with how a person feels. Like I said, the person, she swore up and down that that was her twin, and it wasn't. You know, I could see. So everybody has a gift that they have. I can only tell you this is as close as it is, and but what you have to understand, this person is almost like, especially financially speaking. I don't know what you guys are like personally, but financially speaking, this person is diametrically opposed, and everything you're going to build, they're going to bring down. You can see it. But you do have a soul life connection, and probably a past life, because we really don't know how all this stuff works. We don't know if it all runs concurrent. Because, see, we're from Source. Source is omnipresent. Source is everywhere at all times. And we're from Source. So when we think past life, we think it was a different time period. Nah, it could all be running concurrent. We don't know how it works. But that's why you could have, different natal charts, and this person was a soulmate in this life, and this person was a twin, and all that, and it can get confusing. So I just try to keep it simplified. And now this Mercury retrograde is kind of on the border of the 10th and the 11th house, but I'm just going with the 11th house. And then you got Leo in the 11th house, and then again, and you have Vesta just like the other one, and Vesta again. Now Vesta's at 25, 28. Over there it was 28 degrees, 48. But now this is the Lion, loves the gold, loves everything. But he's going to have a communication problem. All Mercury retrograde means is anything could be a communication problem. If they talk, they'll be misunderstood. If they write, they'll be misunderstood. And they may have a trouble understanding. It's going to be a communication problem when you have Mercury retrograde. So even though he might be great around friends and a Lion, boisterous and loving and fun and childlike and let's go have fun, he's going to have a serious communication problem. And isn't that unique that your Mercury is also with the Sun at 22. See, like I said, this is a real close one, but they don't tell a story. They offset each other. Like in twin flame natal charts, they tell a story. It's almost like you could walk off one chart to the other one off the bridge. That's how good the story is told. And when it's offset like this, it's because they got like a karmic debt, karmic relationship, past life stuff. It still could be called a soulmate, but it's not your twin soul. And now that was the 11th house. So your 12th house, sudden change, sudden upheaval, but purging. So Uranus is helping Pluto because Pluto causes the purging. And that's what your 12th house is about. And see, he's got a lot of home issues and a lot of 6th house issues that he has to purge. So you will go back to his 6th house and whatever's going on over there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in it's Pisces. So there's spiritual issues. A lot of, you see those retrogrades, all that he's got to deal with to heal. And then when you look at your chart, it's similar. But Pluto's there to cause the purging in the 12th house. And he's got to learn how to serve. He's got to learn how to serve other people and even give a home environment to them. Home and service and healing. Also deals with small children, small animals. And they're both at 17. I keep telling you, 17 is definitely karmic. And that's what the 12th house is about, endings. So they're kind of saying if he addresses his 12th house issues and his 6th house issues, he'll begin to get healing. But I'm also saying he should go ahead and address that Scorpio issue 12. Address the Scorpio and the 2nd house issues as well as the 8th house issues. And that'll get him on his way. And if you're going to address your home issues, that means you still got to deal with family because family is the home. Even though that's the 4th house, it's still part of the 6th house because the home is the family. So these are issues he would still need to deal with. All right, so we're going to do 17 degrees Virgo. Lenient, generous, and sensitive character. One protects and devotes oneself to family and friends, but also cares for other people's needs. In some cases, one suffers the loss of a child. One's major goal is to, because they spelled it wrong. In some ways, I get the feeling the people that wrote this are maybe Hindu. I just get that feeling. One's major goal is to found, so I think they meant to say fund. One's major goal is to fund and run a center associated with children and youth in distress. Even though financial resources are not sufficient, or despite the disapproval expressed by the spouse or the other family members. So if you're going to talk about children, you're talking about Leo energy. And maybe that's why the Leo energy or the sun is so significant on both these charts. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Success can be achieved in the civil service and an administration position in the military or the police. Or it can also mean law, administrative. This degree heralds longevity and happiness in spite of the fact that one is not really understood by the entourage. If in the natal chart Venus is in Taurus and forms a trine with this degree, it indicates talents for artwork, especially painting, pottery. All right. So we definitely showed the connection, because you said there was a connection. We definitely showed the connection. And this is one of those charts that it could fool you and say, oh, that's my twin, but it's not. But the only thing I will say, because I'm more realistic with all of this stuff, because the fact of the matter is, and I hate to tell you guys this, but love comes and goes. Very rarely do you see two people that love each other so much that they don't break up or cheat on each other. It does happen, but that's very rare. So you have to understand bills are still going to need to be paid, and but don't let somebody mess your money up, because she's almost blessed. Like the chart on the left, she's got it going on. I mean, other than what we said she needs to work on according to the chart, but she's got it going on. But that whole loss they're talking about is basically through the chart on the right, or somebody like that. It's that chart. The chart like that is going to mess her up financially. And also, in my opinion, some of those enemies that they're talking about, because with her chart, it was all about enemies. So I think a lot of those enemies might come from her association with the chart on the right. Just my opinion. All right, it's been a pleasure. We have a lot of sales going on right now, so make sure you're checking this channel out for the sales. We also have you can request a service and price list out if you don't already have it. And also anything with natal charts, compatibility charts, angel card readings, life purpose. Your life purpose can be based on name and numerology and your birth date. We got that. You can do life purpose through your natal chart. You can do it through the Archangel cards. You can do it through name and numerology. What I try to advise people to do, like this, you have hard copies. Because anybody can tell you, oh, I see, or I feel, or I think. But that doesn't mean it's true. And don't get me wrong. Our life is like that. Sometimes it's your own energy. Because your natal chart might say no. And you might go to whoever, a reader, a card reader, a psychic, and they may say yeah, and you believe the yeah, and you start believing it, and somehow it becomes yeah. I mean, so this is the energy, this is the universe. But me, I just like to see it so I know where I'm going. I don't want somebody to tell me I feel or I think, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I've heard that a lot of times. And just like a lot of people rely heavily on aspects and all that, but I've seen so many charts where that stuff never comes true. So I deal more with the reality of what's really going on the chart. Even with like how I did numerology today, that's just that person's what they believe that degree means. And I've done numerology from a natal chart off of geometrics, Bill Hydrix, Joanne Scribe, Doreen Virtue. So this is all about energy. But what you're really trying to do is get a general idea. Like me personally, if I was her, I would be like, oh, now I'm glad I know. That's how I would be. I'm glad I know that this guy's probably not my twin, and now I understand it. I'm not letting nobody mess my money up. That's how I would see it. I wouldn't see it like, oh, I think it's still my twin. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Because I get that. I get this female flipped out on me. I'm like, listen, I know this is tough, but you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Don't send me this crazy stuff. Like, you got to learn how to deal with it because it's not going to go away. So you got to deal with it. Like, that's why I said it's emotions balanced out with the mental. So we do all that. We do offer a phone consultation for people if they feel they need that. But if we do anything intuitive, anything dealing with the occult, you may be seeing some things, you wonder what's going on. You might be looking up in space and noticing you feel a certain way. That's all on your natal chart too, because you may have a connection to Mercury or anything up there. So we do all that. Anything that's investigative, we do it. So you can contact us. And I think that's about it. Now, some people just want to get started. Now, that information is right there in the description box. Now, all we need to do the natal charts is month, day, and year. Please write it out. And the reason why you have to write it out is because 11/2/72 in America is not the same in Britain. And that's why I said just write it out. If it's February 11th, write February 11th, 1972. If it's November 2nd, write it out. And then, therefore, it won't be any type of misunderstanding or anything. And that way, because once it gets started, it can't be changed. That will be a new order because it just got started. And it started based on the information already given. So make sure that information is correct. If you don't know the birth time, we always ask the archangels, just like they did in this video. And city, state, and if it's not the USA, write the country. And as for the natal chart, you can get started with that anytime because the information is right there in the description box. Now, if you want to life purpose based on name and numerology, so that we need your name that's on your birth certificate, and again the date, but write the date out, and through that you get your name and numerology based on that information, your life purpose based on that information. But what about my phone number? What about my address? What about my name? All that stuff is done. So they're all services. Now, again, and the contact email is in the description box as well. God bless.